Good evening. I'm Sophie Walker, but that's not what Helen calls me.
I call her Lacey.
And I have no idea who Lacey or Cagney are because I wasn't born in the Stone Age. I like to consider myself... You're going to be a good audience, I feel. I like to consider myself more like Olivia Pope from Scandal. Anyone?
Yes.
See, Tiffin promised me there'd be some people to pick up on my pop culture references here. See, I am the director of the Centre for Criminal Appeals, and with Emily Bolton, we investigate, litigate, and exonerate on behalf of victims of miscarriages of justice. And as you can probably tell, I'm a Londoner. I grew up not a mile from here, but my path to standing here today was from from further away. I started off working in Alabama, the deepest, darkest part of the Deep South, in a corner of which houses their death row. As a young death penalty lawyer, I learned how to overturn miscarriages of justice. I learned to identify and ultimately fix the problems in the criminal justice system. And the method? You won't find it in a lawyer's office. It's boots on the ground investigation. If someone is the victim of miscarriage of justice, you don't go and look at the law. You have to go into the community where that crime took place. You interview the witnesses, most of whom don't want to be found. You go through the records that no one in a box that no one else has bothered to look through. But that is what it takes in order to get someone who's been wrongly convicted out of prison. After working in Alabama for 2 years, where let's be honest, I didn't have that many friends. And then I went and worked at Reprieve in the UK, where I got far more friends, but I still felt as though I was missing something. See, the longer I worked in the US, the more I realised that the problems I saw were happening on my own back doorstep. They were happening in London. See, because of the drastic cuts to criminal legal aid, prosecutors and police officers are rushing to trial without having done their homework, without having done the work that it takes to work out that they have the right guy. And the defence lawyers, who have had cuts to their bottom line, don't have the time to be the checks and balance either. We're even seeing defendants who are forced to represent themselves at trial, often who have learning difficulties, and that is never a good idea. You always need a lawyer at a trial, let me tell you all that. So this is the solution. We're starting up the Centre for Criminal Appeals, and Emily and I are going to identify the problems in the criminal justice system. We think that the engine for reform are individual cases. We need examples of the terrible effect that miscarriages of justice have on the system in order to change it, because England is going in the wrong direction, particularly if we're proud of the Magna Carta, something we're celebrating this year. Which is why I want to introduce you all to Helen. Hi.
Hi.
Helen, what made you first write to the Centre for Criminal Appeals?
I wrote to quite a few organisations, and then my letter landed on their doorstep, thankfully, because my brother was wrongfully convicted of the murder of my nephew, and he's innocent.
And what was it like going through the trial, working with the legal aid lawyers? What do you think went wrong?
Sorry, speak up, please.
Sorry. Shall I say the question again?
Yes.
Sorry. What was it like at trial, working with the legal aid lawyers? What do you think went wrong?
Well, after meeting Cagney and Lacey, I then realised that it was more like a human approach. When we was going through the trial, I didn't find any difference between the prosecution people questioning our family and our defence team. It just felt like they just was asking questions and just passing us around. There was no continuity or anything.
So what is the difference now that CCA is involved?
Just having someone just believe in my brother in the first place, and just taking more of a hands-on approach. And they're actually speaking to witnesses, important witnesses, that were never even approached, that could have probably prevented what was actually the outcome of what's happened.
And what do you remember about the first time we met, which was actually the first day of my job? Emily took me down to meet with Helen. What do you remember from her?
Well, I picked up Cagney and Lacey in my car from the station, and on the way back to my house, I said to them, would you like to go to the scene of where the crime happened, where my nephew was murdered? So they said, oh yeah, let's go there. So I said, actually, I'll take you to all the important addresses of this case. it's in such a small area, it's smaller than the set of EastEnders. So we get there, we get out the car, Emily goes one way and Sophie goes the other way. So I'm looking thinking what's going on. Emily's down that end taking pictures of the scene, and then Sophie's up that end on a dictaphone making like little notes in that. And I was thought, okay, wow, like it just looked like something was happening. I just was so reassuring for me.
And over the last 6 months, we have found lots of mistakes that were made at trial, and we're going to the Court of Appeal next month, and that is the first step in getting David out of prison. There are 1,500 people who believe they've been the victim of a miscarriage of justice. Not all of them are innocent. But we have a method for working out who are the ones that need our help the most. We received 150 letters at the start of our organisation. Out of that 150, there were 40 that we thought had merit. Out of that, we made a difficult decision and chose 10. Those 10 allow us to have an impact on the strategic issues in the criminal justice system. Quickly, we need a resource development person. We need to build our capacity because 2 of us can't do this alone. We need you to match funding. I'm going for 12K is what I'm looking for this evening. It's a lot, but a lot of you are new, so I think you can dig it. I'm looking at all the new people. Out of that, with 12K, we can hire a capacity development person, and next time when I'm back here in a year telling you all about what we've done, we're going to be scaling in just the same way that street doctors are, and you're the first step in that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.